Hello, I'm David Puttnam. I'm a very proud World Wildlife Fund ambassador and for many, many years was a filmmaker. I did, I think, 30 movies over a period of about 30 years. I've been retired for some while. But I still teach film and the whole concept of narrative cinema, narrative filmmaking. And I've been asked by the WWF to talk a little about what's important when you come to tell stories. In a sense, the story of the environment, now concerns the environment, probably started in the 1950s, late 1950s, with Rachel Carson's Silent Spring, where she told a very specific story about her observation that the birds had stopped singing in her part of the world in upstate New York. More recently, Richard Powers, in his book, Overstory, makes the point that it is stories, it is our own personal experiences as expressed in stories that can make a change in other people's lives. And I profoundly believe that. I teach a whole issue of identity. How do you identify with the characters in your film? How do you identify with the characters in your story? Do you recognize a moment in that film which you say, oh, that's me. I've done that. How did they know about that? That's when you capture an audience. And that's, I think, the vital moment. So I've been asked for a few hints on what makes a good narrative. How do you grab attention? Number one, and most obviously, is keep it short and snappy. If you've got something to say it as quickly and succinctly as you possibly can and hold people's interest. Once people's attention starts drifting, once they feel they're getting a bit bored or they've heard it all before, you lose them. And that's a sort of disaster. The next thing is an arresting narrative, something they can, as I said, identify with, something they feel is happening, does happen, something they've observed in the natural world that really concerns them. How do you hit that button? How do you make them say, oh my goodness me, someone else realizes that's going on and I better do something about it. And the last, and I think by far the way most important, was what I suggested at the beginning, like Rachel Carson, like Richard Powers, a personal narrative. Make it personal. The personal becomes universal. Your experience, as expressed in your words or your film, can become universal. And that's the way that change occurs, creating a personal sense of concern, a personal sense of maybe solutions into a universal belief that there might be solutions. That's the way to capture people, and I'd recommend it to anyone who's prepared to take the time, trouble, effort and energy to engage with particularly film, in getting their message across. Thanks for listening to me.